Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
The 10 greatest moments in Yankees history. Hello there, everybody. I'm Mel Allen. You know, the New York Yankees are the most successful and most celebrated team in the history of American sports. They've won 33 pennants, 22 world championships. They've had more All-Stars, more Hall of Famers than any other team in baseball. And that made choosing the Yankees' 10 greatest moments mighty tough. But readers of the New York Daily News cast their votes, and here they are, the pinstripe performances that stand out as the very best. Number 10 in the voting, the record-tying 3 home runs in 1 World Series game by Reggie Jackson in 1977. After losing the '76 World Series to Cincinnati, the Yankees signed Reggie Jackson to provide more punch. His relationship with manager Billy Martin was often stormy, but the team repeated as Eastern Division champs, and for the second straight year faced Kansas City in the League Championship Series. Reliever Sparky Lyle would go on to win the Cy Young Award in '77, and it was Lyle who closed out the Royals in Game 5. It was the second year in a row that the League Championship Series went the full 5 games. The Yankees were trailing 3-1 in the final game, but scored 3 runs in the 9th inning and won 5-3 to capture their second straight American League pennant. In the World Series against Los Angeles, New York went up 3-2, setting the stage for history at Yankee Stadium on the night of October 18th.
I felt very strong and very fluid and very quick that day. The first home run, ball was hit good, but I just hoped that the ball was hit high enough. I remember hitting on top of the ball a little bit. The second time I came up, Sosa was pitching, and I hoped that he didn't take a lot of pitches because I knew I was right, and I didn't want to waste a lot of time. I wanted to get in the batter's box and swing the bat before they made any adjustments or before they thought about pitching me any different way. And he threw the ball right in my wheelhouse. The last time up against Charlie Huff, I had been fairly successful against knuckleball pitchers. And I had 2 home runs already. I had already tied the record. And I really didn't have anything to lose. I was being cheered on my way to the plate, and Huff threw a ball right out over the middle of the plate. Bingo.
It's a fly ball to center field and deep. Reggie Jackson has hit his 3rd home run of the game.
Good teams don't get in the World Series. Only the great teams get there. You're not a great team until you arrive, even if you lose or get beat with a bad bounce. Nothing matters unless you win.
According to the voters, the 9th greatest moment in Yankees history occurred 1 year earlier, came through the courtesy of Chris Chambliss. Following a 12-year drought, the Yankees returned to postseason play in 1976 when they squared off against the Kansas City Royals in a wild and woolly League Championship Series. New York won games 1 and 3, while the Royals captured games 2 and 4. So the pennant would be determined in a payoff Game 5. The scene, Yankee Stadium, the date, October 14th. And the game was as dramatic as they come. Played before a packed house of almost 57,000 fans, filled with anticipation. The momentum shifted back and forth as the lead seesawed through the first 3 innings. Then in the 6th, New York pushed across a pair of runs to go up 6-3. It stayed that way until the top of the 8th inning, when Kansas City third baseman George Brett stepped up to the plate with 2 Royals on base.
High drive, right field, way back toward the foul pole, up, and it is going for a home run. George Brett has tied the ball game with a 3-run homer.
It was the third deadlock of the game, and the score remained 6-6 until the bottom of the ninth, when veteran first baseman Chris Chambliss led off for the Yankees. On the mound for Kansas City, reliever Mark Littell, who had surrendered only 1 home run all season.
Deep to right field. That ball is up for get to right. It's good. And a home run for Chris Chambliss, and the championship series is over.
There's so many people around, I couldn't see any faces. I don't know. I couldn't find home plate. They finally took me back out there and finally touched it. It's really been a great year for us. We've got a great ball club, and we really went to them. We had to just go after it ourselves, and because Kansas City is a tough ball club, and I tell you, it's all worth it. I tell you, it's been fantastic.
Chosen by the voters as the 8th greatest moment, a star-spangled pitching performance on July 4, 1983. Dave Righetti was the pitcher, and the victims, the Boston Red Sox. 40,000 plus people standing and roaring, and Righetti trying to get Bob, and he gets it! A no-hitter! A no-hitter! A no-hitter for Dave Righetti! How about that?
We had been getting killed by Boston for 3 straight days, and I just wanted to shut them down early. And when it got in about the 8th inning, we had a 2-0 lead. I was worried about the lead. Steve Kemp made a hell of a play in the stands on a foul ball, and I thought maybe if this is my day, you need one of those during the ball game.
It came down to the 9th inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Glenn Hoffman is the batter. As the ground ball hit to short. Smalley to Robertson for 1. Back to first. Still safe. He's safe. Wait a minute. He's safe.
The fans did pump me up at that point. I was trying to tell myself, while they're standing here, you might as well give them something to cheer about. I said, let's go. You know, I was talking to myself like that.
This crowd is standing. This crowd is wild. And Wade Boggs, one of the top hitters in the American League, standing between Dave Righetti and a pitcher's dream. 2 outs. There's a strike, and it's 1-1, and this crowd is roaring. There's Billy Martin, nervous. Everybody on the bench is nervous. Even on the Red Sox bench, they're trying to break it up. Dave Righetti, under the toughest sort of pressure. Will he get it? Wade Boggs swings and misses. Strike 2. 1 strike away for Dave Righetti. This crowd is going nuts. Everybody in Yankee Stadium standing. They're roaring. A .361 hitter at the plate.
Fortunately, he just wasn't looking for the slider on the 2-strike pitch. And after that, I was out of gas, and I was just relieved it was over. You know, it was just a long day, and people were cheering and stuff. And Chuck Mangione came down and was playing the song on the horn, and I was embarrassed more than anything else. And people were making me stand up and take pictures and everything. It was kind of embarrassing. I didn't know what to do with myself.
Number 7 covers the entire 1956 season when Mickey Mantle achieved a rare Triple Crown in fabulous fashion. As soon as he came up to the majors in 1951, it was clear that this farm boy from Commerce, Oklahoma, was something special. Mantle had all the tools in abundance. He could run, field, throw, but most of all, he could hit. Man, could he hit. His first 5 years in New York were outstanding, and then in 1956, Mickey Mantle put on one of the finest single-season performances in Major League history.
I think I built up to it, you know. 52, I hit 353, 54. It was just like I was just getting up there, you know. It just took me 5 years to do what they said I could do in 1951.
His Triple Crown numbers from that 56 season are absolutely mind-boggling. Listen, home runs, 52, RBIs, 130, batting average, 353.
I don't think there's any question that he may have been the greatest slugger of all time. I know this, there's probably never one year that one player had, like Mickey had when he won the Triple Crown, when he had over 50 home runs and hit 350 or whatever it was, and could steal bases that well and could throw and run. I don't think there's ever been a combination of sheer power and sheer speed other than Mickey Mantle.
I envied him in a way where he played on so many great teams, but Mickey was one of the great players I've ever seen, and I marveled at him, and I've always said he was the best player I ever played against. All the pain and all the problems he had with his physical, his legs being a big problem, and I just marveled at a guy who could go through all that pain and still be a tremendous player.
Mantle's injuries may have reduced his overall speed, but not his power at the plate.
Mantle swings. There goes a long drive going to deep right field. It's soaring up high. It's going. It's going. It is gone. A home run for Mickey Mantle, and it almost went out of the ballpark. Mickey Mantle, for the second time in his career, has come within a few feet of becoming the first man to ever hit a ball clear out Yankee Stadium.
Mick was named American League MVP in 1956, and eventually he was inducted into baseball's Hall of Fame. But with all his brilliance, his pride and character make Mantle feel he could have accomplished even more.
I was really lucky. I played with the greatest teams in the world, so I don't really have any gripes, but I really do believe if I had another shot at it, I could do better, and that's what bugs me.
The magnificent Mickey. There's a fly ball out to right field. That ball is going, it is gone.
Number 6 on the list, Bucky Dent's unbelievable playoff home run in Boston, October 2nd, 1978. The defending world champion Yankees had been playing like anything but champions in the first half of the '78 season. Injuries took a heavy toll, and all-around inconsistent play had the Yankees struggling to stay above 500. On July 19th, 90 games into the season, New York was in 4th place, 14 games out of first, and frustrated. Meanwhile, the division-leading Boston Red Sox were on a roll, winning 4 out of 6 against New York, going 62-28 overall through mid-July to stand high above the rest of the pack. The Yankees had little hope. But the tide began turning, and in early September, the Yankees invaded Fenway for a 4-game series, trailing the Sox by only 4 games. New York went on a rampage to sweep the series, outscoring Boston 42-9. When the regular season ended, the two teams were tied for the top, forcing the first playoff game in League Championship Series history. That's when Bucky Dent took center stage.
All my biggest thrills are team accomplishments. And one was the summer of '78, 14 and a half games back at the All-Star break, finally win that big playoff game in Boston. That really sticks out in my mind. Up in Fenway Park, cool, crisp October afternoon. Bucky Dent hit the big 3-run home run.
What I was trying to do is I was trying to get a pitch that I could drive someplace and hit the ball hard. And the first pitch, I fouled off my foot. And as I got up and was walking back to the on-deck circle when the trainer came out to spray some of that stuff on my foot trying to ease the pain, Mickey Rivers came over to me and said, hey, homie, he says, you know, you're hitting with a cracked bat. And so he said, here, take this one. He says, you're using the wrong bat. And from that time on, I went back up, and I think it was the next pitch that I hit the ball into the screen.
Deep to left. Yastrzemski will not get it. It's a home run. A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead it by a score of 3-2.
When I rounded third base, you could hear a pin drop in Fenway Park. There was a complete silence. And then when I touched home plate, you could start to hear a little bit of applause from the New York people who were there. But I think that the Boston fans were stunned because, you know, you look at a number 9 hitter and he's not supposed to hit a home run, but it happened. I think every kid dreams of hitting a big home run that's going to win a ball game. But at the time, all I knew when I rounded the bases with it is that it put us ahead.
Number 5 is a mark that might never be matched. Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak in 1941. DiMaggio joined the Yankees in 1936 and quickly established himself as a superstar, a national hero who displayed fluid grace and classic style. He's considered today by many the finest all-around player in baseball history.
Joe DiMaggio was the greatest player I saw, I feel. He was graceful, he had a great arm, he had good speed, deceptive speed, a great hitter. He was a super player.
Joe DiMaggio, I thought, was the greatest all-around ball player of all time. And, of course, he was mine. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there next to him dressing. I know he must have been tired of me staring at him all the time because I was scared to talk to him. But, every time he'd come in, I just like, God, there's Joe DiMaggio. I'm sitting here by Joe D.
The Clippers' crowning achievement came during a breathtaking 2-month stretch in the first half of the 1941 season.
1941, that's a memorable year, yes. That, of course, was the year that I hit in the 56 consecutive games. But it certainly was something that I was quite proud of, and I was very happy to continue on because not only did my streak continue, but we went on to go on a winning streak and put us in a good position to wind up winning the pennant in the World Series that year.
DiMaggio's remarkable streak began on May 15th against Chicago. And on June 29th, the Yankee Clippers stroked a single off Red Anderson of the Washington Senators to establish a new American League record, hitting safely in 42 consecutive games.
Joe, on behalf of Fox Movie Tone News and the ball fans all over the country, I want to congratulate you on breaking that record.
3 days later, July 2nd, DiMaggio blasted a home run against Bobo Newsom of Boston, and with that, he broke the Major League mark set by Wee Willie Keeler in 1897. And Joe D just kept on going, hitting safely in every game for 2 more weeks. And on July 15th against Cleveland, his streak had reached 56 games, a record that many believe will never be broken.
I look at Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak. I think that's just phenomenal when you stop and think about it. A guy can get a hit every ball game for 56 games in a row.
How about that? Joltin' Joe DiMaggio. Greatest moment number 4 belongs to Don Larson, who pitched the only perfect game in World Series history. A capacity crowd came to Yankee Stadium on October 8, 1956, when skipper Casey Stengel called on 11-game winner Don Larson to face the Brooklyn Dodgers in Game 5 of the World Series.
That day, Larson, that's the best game he ever pitched. He had control. Every pitch I called for, he got it over.
I think I was the only guy that took the count 3-2 on him. If I'm not mistaken, I may have struck out, to tell you the truth. But Don had good control that day, and they made some good plays. You have to have a little luck to pitch a perfect game.
The hardest hit ball, I thought, was Jackie Robinson leading off the second inning. He lined the ball to Andy Carey playing third, and he knocked it down. It rode to McDougal, and Gill threw him out at first base. Boom, boom.
Well, there was about 2 or 3 plays made in that game. McDougal made a good play, and Andy Carey made a good play. That was probably one of the best catches I ever made. It was Gil Hodges hit the ball, I remember. He must have hit it 440 feet. It was one of those out, it didn't quite get to the warning track in left center, but it was right at the warning track. Probably the best catch I'd ever made in my life.
I knew it was a no-hitter. Probably the pressure started getting to me probably after the 7th inning. I punched Mickey a little bit. I tapped him. I says, "Look at the scoreboard, Mick." I said, "Wouldn't it be something 2 mornings ago?" I was shaking a little bit.
Larson was just 1 out away from perfection when pinch hitter Dale Mitchell batted for Brooklyn.
I call all fastballs on Dale Mitchell because I knew, Dale was kind of a slap hitter. He liked to hit the ball all over and break the ball. I didn't want to give him anything soft to hit.
Mitchell waiting, stands deep, feet close together. Larson is ready, gets the sign. 2 strikes, ball 1. Here comes the pitch. Strike 3. A no-hitter, a perfect game for Don Larson.
You never saw a happier guy. You saw how he jumped on Don Larson. He carried me off like I was a little baby.
I probably haven't woke up yet. Maybe I never want to.
Number 3 is really a multitude of memorable moments, provided by baseball's biggest hero, the immortal Babe Ruth. Yankee Stadium is known as the house that Ruth built, and for good reason, because after Babe came to New York from Boston in 1920, he became the biggest gate attraction the game has ever known.
And Babe Ruth, there's nobody like him. There'll never be another one. Not in my book. There'll never be another Babe Ruth.
Ruth is the only player I know that when he came out on the field, everybody stopped. It was like the star came onto the center stage. And when you get that kind of magnetism, you know that you're the star.
Ruth was larger than life, both on and off the field. Nicknamed the Sultan of Swat, he was the unquestioned king of American sports. Known for his boundless enthusiasm, the Bambino was all business when it came to baseball. And never more so than in 1927, when he belted 60 home runs, a record that stood for 34 years. He finished his career with 714 homers, a .343 batting average, and the love of an entire nation. Yankee Stadium was packed on April 27, 1947 for Babe Ruth Day, one of the most emotional moments in baseball history.
That was a sad day because of the almost total physical disintegration of Babe Ruth. He had to almost speak in a whisper. It was just a tragic sight involving someone that you always sort of think is indestructible.
Many lovely things said about me, and I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to thank everybody.
In August of 1948, the Babe was gone at the age of 53, but his legacy sure lives on. Number 2 also honors the achievements of a glorious career and a heart-rending farewell, that of Lou Gehrig. A New York City native, Gehrig joined the Yankees in 1923 and teamed with Babe Ruth to provide the most devastating 1-2 punch in baseball history. When Yankee first baseman Wally Pipp sat out a game on May 2nd, 1925, Gehrig replaced him. The Iron Horse would stay there for 14 years, appearing in an amazing 2,130 consecutive games, still a record, and posting spectacular statistics year after year.
Now that it's all over and I look at the record book myself, I find that no matter what I did, no matter how I compare my runs batted in and my accomplishments as a long ball hitter, Gehrig has always done it better. So Gehrig's record is phenomenal.
And I used to fire the ball at Gehrig, and he fired back at me. But, of course, you couldn't hurt him. The Iron Horse, he was some kind of fella.
Gehrig talked softly, but he carried a big stick. 493 career homers, a .340 lifetime batting average, a record 23 Grand Slams, 13 consecutive seasons of at least 100 RBIs. So you see, he gave his all in every game. In May of 1938, Gehrig played in his 2,000th straight game, but less than a year later, a mysterious illness would force the Iron Horse to remove himself from the lineup. And then on July 4th, 1939, with many of his former teammates in attendance, the Yankees paid tribute to Lou Gehrig. Manager Joe McCarthy escorted Gehrig to the microphone, where he showed the class and character that had always earned him so much respect.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
That I might have been given a bad break, but I've got an awful lot to live for. Thank you.
Gehrig died 2 years later. He was just 37 years old. And now, the greatest moment in team history as voted by Daily News readers. 61 homers by Roger Maris in 1961. The Yankees were world champions in '61, thanks largely to a pair of players who displayed unparalleled power, Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. Mantle jumped off to a sizzling start by hammering 7 homers in April. He maintained a torrid pace until sidetracked by injury late in the season. Maris didn't hit his first homer until April 26th, but there was no stopping him after that. And as the summer wore on, it became clear that both players had a shot at breaking Babe Ruth's record. In September, Mantle was hampered by a hip injury, would hit only 2 more homers to finish the year with 54. And so it was left to Roger Maris to face the challenge alone, with the entire nation following his every at-bat.
I don't think there's ever been an athlete who's had as much pressure over the length of time that Roger did and handled it better.
It came down to the final game of the season, October 1st against Boston.
Here comes Roger Maris. They're standing up, waiting to see if Maris is going to hit number 61. Here's the windup. Fastball hit deep to right. It's going to be it. Way back there. Holy cow, he's Roger Maris. Fight for that ball out there. Holy cow, what a shot.
When he hit the home run to break the record, I remember he came in the dugout and we were all talking, Roger, tip your cap, and we pushed him out. I remember I pushed him out, and then he tipped his cap, and that was something that I'll never forget.
Man, you've just seen some serious history. And let me tell you, there's bound to be a lot more in the seasons to come, because something seems to happen to a player when he puts on Yankee pinstripes. He becomes part of all that historic glory. And the great ones know they'll get their shot at contributing even more. You know what? It sure is going to be a lot of fun seeing who'll be the next Yankee to perform with, well, let us say, supreme grace in the New York spotlight and hopefully join the ranks of the immortals.
Brother, lift us up where we belong, where the eagles cry on a mountain high. Love, lift us up where we belong, far from the world we know, where the clear winds blow. Time goes by, no time to cry. Life is you and I, alive today. Love, lift us up where we belong, where the eagles cry on a mountain high. Love, lift us up where we belong, far from the world we know, where the clear winds blow.
The 10 greatest moments in Yankees history has been brought to you by the Daily News, New York's hometown paper.